Before you, you have in your packet, you have an agenda for this work session. There is going to be just a little bit variance to it, but at this time, since we have Mr. Rogers here and his chaperone with him, so he wants to address the council. And Matt, go ahead, bud.
Thank you, Mr. Vickers, Sheriff Vickers, and Mayor Cooper, and council members. Pleasure to be with you here tonight. I know you have quite a few things on your agenda, so I'll be very brief. On behalf of Enterprise State Community College, our faculty, staff, and student body, I just want to bring greetings to you. With me tonight is our Dean of Instruction, Mr. Danny Long, our Software Grants Manager. She also works with our ESCC Foundation, Shelley Stump. We are delighted about some of the things that we're doing at the college, and I just feel like I want to keep our council members and our community, as well as Mayor Cooper, informed as to what we're doing and trying to do just right down the road from here. 4 major areas of focus, and if you've heard me speak before, you probably have heard this, but our 4 major areas of focus basically are people, programs, facilities, and community, and all 4 of those are intertwined together. We're working extremely hard. I believe our people are our greatest asset. We've got great people at the college. I'm pleased to tell you tonight that our summer enrollment is up by 16.3%. We're up by 25% in credit hour production. This is 3 consecutive semesters going back to fall of 2017, spring of 2018, and now the summer that we've increased our enrollment. And we hope that will be a positive trend as we move forward to the fall. We're going to continue to work hard in that area. Program-wise, we're pleased to tell you today that we have been approved to start a new medical assisting program. That is key. We have the 2nd largest nursing home facility just yards right away from us up the street, and so we're getting into that particular area. We think that'll be a big service to our community. That'll start hopefully this fall. We have an announcement that we're going to be making over on our Ozark campus on Thursday, so that's going to be exciting for this region. So we've got 2 new programs that will be coming. That was part of our emphasis. Facilities, we've made some great strides. We have a long way to go. As many of you have been on our campus, you've seen some of the areas that we're working on and trying to improve. We have great support. Chancellor Baker was down last week, and we're working closely with Chancellor Baker and his team, as well as our team, to put a plan in place. We met last week with architects, and we're conducting a assessment of all of our facilities, Enterprise, Ozark, and Andalusia, in regards to moving forward. We're putting together a really good plan there. We also were the beneficiaries of a $100,000 grant from Senator Hawley. We're going to put that money towards our ball field complex. Our baseball and softball complex needs some work, and so we've got some other things that we want to do with that money as well. The last part, community, this is what we do, and this is who we are. We love this community, and we want to be our community's college. We serve a great community all over this particular area, and we have been out and about in the schools, working really hard to develop a positive rapport with our citizens, and I think the sky's the limit for Enterprise State Community College. I would like to formally invite the council to come and to meet possibly in July or August. We would love to host you. We hosted the Coffee County Commission back in June or back in May, and it was unique. It was very interesting to see that each Coffee County Commissioner had a story about Enterprise State. They had either attended or had a child or grandchild attend Enterprise State and how it impacted their lives. And I know many of you in this room right here may have a similar story. And it's a great way for us to learn about you and how we can serve you. And it's a great way for you to learn about what is taking place at Enterprise State Community College. With that being said, I'll kind of end my comments. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them tonight, or you can feel free to shoot me an email. But we're here for you, and we're here for our community. Thank you, Chairman.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you.
As I said a few minutes ago, I wanted to deviate a little bit from the agenda that you have in front of you because to begin this work session this evening, I feel compelled that I need to address some concerns and things that Councilman Miller, some of his comments at the end of our last regular session that he made to the other council members. I think we were all caught off guard as his comments were made as we were fixing to adjourn the meeting. I also do not remember ever talking to Councilman Townsend, Councilman Gooseby, or Councilwoman Rich about what Councilman Miller had requested. They really did not know about what precipitated Councilman Miller's being upset, specifically when he asked for all the names and the licenses, business license in the city. He was told that he would have to sign a records request and pay for the copies. When the request for a copy of all business licenses, I was notified of the unusual request while I was down at City Hall. I went down toward Michael Bryant's office and I caught the mayor coming out of the water board into the hall over there, and we got Michael's attention, and Mayor Cooper and I met with Michael concerning the request. Michael informed us that he had called the League of Municipalities and had been told that Councilman Miller was to be treated as anyone else making such a request. Standing there, as I said, were Michael Bryant, Mayor Cooper, and myself. Having repeatedly read the League of Municipalities handbook myself, I knew that the information that Michael had been given and the ruling was correct. At this time, I'd like to pass around a copy of that part of the municipalities handbook. Also, on the second page, there will be a copy of the city's policy. If the city had or has an exception to its own ordinance, Mayor Cooper did not say so. Actually, we all agreed that Michael was to treat Councilman Miller the same as anyone else. At no time was I ever in Mr. Dean's office. When we were in the hallway, I did state that I wondered what Councilman Miller wanted with the list, and I asked the mayor again when I was leaving the building what he may have wanted with the licenses. Both of these questions were based on Councilman Miller's thoughts and manners of expressing his thoughts on the RADS and Permacore issues before the council. I would have had the same question in my mind when anyone else wants that vast amount of information. Since our last meeting, I did ask if the city had a policy concerning privacy and records. In that which was handed out to you, it is on the second page. That ordinance was passed in 2007 by the previous council. As you can see, it mirrors the Alabama law and what is in the League of Municipalities handbook. Nothing in the city ordinance states that the council member is to be treated any differently than anyone else. Now, if the council wishes to change the city's ordinance to reflect what Councilman Miller said that he felt needed to be done, then they may do so. But in doing so, it would be in contrary to the state law, and I'm not too sure we can do that. Be that as it may, I will not make the motion to do so, nor will I vote in favor of it if the motion is made and it comes up for discussion. That's all I have to say concerning the issue. Thank y'all.
I've got a quick. Now, I could make a motion tonight that requests the information that I was looking for, and we can get it right if we vote by majority.
Okay. I contacted the League of Municipalities, and that's the list of the business license, and we've got our city attorney here. I think he can give us what the law is. the League of Municipalities told me that there is nothing to stop me from getting that list if it has no personal tax information, no business tax information.
Nobody's denying you get it.
What? Well, I hadn't got it since 5 weeks ago.
No, but you've got to sign the statement.
Oh, are you sign what thing?
The,
Public records request.
Oh, yeah,
Public
okay,
records
you
report.
constantly go down to his office, Turner, you go down to his office,
I've been in his
and y'all go
office
down
one
there,
time.
have you ever filled out a public request?
I've never asked for anything.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
I take that back, yeah.
Yeah, you've
I
asked
for-
to, you've
I
asked for a lot,
one
you were
time.
down there today,
I
I think.
asked, no, sir, I
You
wasn't.
weren't?
I
Must be
was-
yesterday.
No, sir. No, sir, I wasn't down there yesterday.
So you've never gotten any information down there?
I have asked for one thing, Councilman Miller, and that was a list of all the fees that the city charges.
Okay.
Mr. Dean, did I ask for anything yet?
Just with the exception of that, which is our own internal policy, that is not public information.
The list of business licenses is not public information?
No, I'm talking about, he asked
Well,
for
you
the
might say
fees,
that.
the fee structure of the city is what he requested, that's internal to the city. Now, a business license is public information,
That's right, it's public information. Anybody who's got access to it that comes in and requests it.
and they have to fill out a public records request, that's a staple on the backside of
In
it.
26 years, that has never been the case down here, and I know, Turner, since you've been on the council for a year and a half, Perry, Eugene, y'all have been down to your office to get public information, copies of ordinances. Is that not public information?
You can get that online.
Get that online.
Y'all been down there and you've gotten it, and that don't even make, I mean,
I've never given any kind of public requested information whatsoever with any of the.
The only thing I can,
could you say that in court of law?
Yes.
You deposed?
Yes, I could.
Okay.
Al, I mean, since you addressed me personally, first of all, I visited Bob in his office, I think the day after he got here. And I think I've been one other time in his office. Agree?
Correct.
The only information I can think of that I requested in recent past was job descriptions of department heads. Did that in writing, and I believe the mayor approved the release of that information. Fair enough?
Okay,
Um,
so there's never been any email traffic request, any text requesting any kind of information, because you know, that can be accessed.
I mean, I want to get you, I want to give you.
I'm gonna get it.
I mean, I'm going to make a motion to get you this
I was not
information.
gonna leave you do this.
I mean, if I thought about it 2 weeks ago, I would have made the motion 2 weeks ago to get you that information.
Charlie, let me say this.
But I do think we need to settle this. We need a policy.
Listen,
We sure
during
do.
the previous administration, it was told to us that if the mayor or the council wanted any kind of information, all we had to go down there and just get it. I wouldn't- Yeah, but not just the general public to come in now. It wasn't anybody's personal information. So that wasn't a real thing, it was just something that was said among us, and that's what we done.
And
Mayor Cooper, I've never been
I
told.
kind of
that.
agree
Of course,
with
I
you.
haven't
Well, I know
asked
you
you.
got to agree with me, Turner, because that's the law.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's-
But I do feel that he's stuck between a rock and a hard place because he's become available to city policy, League of Municipalities opinion, and I think we need to give our clerk directive on how he needs to handle this.
Let me give you, this is item C, I think y'all all got, this is off ordinance 08-2107 from 9407. Nothing herein shall prohibit the disclosure of a fact that a taxpayer has or has not purchased a business license. Nothing herein. Statistical information pertaining to taxes may be disclosed to the municipal council upon their written request through the city manager or city mayor's office. It shall be unlawful for any person to violate the provisions of this section. Statistical information. I did not ask for any statistical information. I asked for a list of the business license. And this specifically states, nothing herein shall prohibit the disclosure of the fact that a taxpayer has or has not purchased a business license.
I mean, what's the, Reiner, I mean, what can we do
Well, I've
to
always-
fix this going forward so it's clear?
I've always taken position, including when the new council came in, that if, even I think you might even remember when you were just elected, my position
I
has always,
remember it well.
my position has always been that a councilman should get public information if they want it. I mean, y'all are the board of directors. That was my position back then,
I remember.
and that's always been my position because y'all are the policymakers of the city, and you ought not to be treated like a member, just a member of the general public. And that's always been my position.
But in fairness, we've hired a new clerk since then, and he's dug all this up. We need to give him directive, I think, out there in the form of a motion and pass it, and let's settle this, let's put this to bed.
I don't mind.
As policymakers of the city, I think we need access to this information.
What I said.
We all not have to do a resolution for Councilmember Miller to get a copy of the business
No, I'm
license.
talking
Oh, wait, hold
more
on, let
general.
me talk, I'm
More
interrupting. We ought not to have to pass a resolution out there for me to get information when it is regarding me making a educated decision for the taxpayers and the people that I represent. I'll not have to ask you for it, or anybody for it. It is a public record. And matter of fact, we got something on the agenda tonight about Permacorp and RDS contract. It's all pertaining to this. And, you know, well, were y'all gonna keep it from me until tonight and decide tonight you wanted to do it?
Don't be all this, I wasn't
Well,
even where
no,
you had
well,
gotten.
I know you met with him, talked to him after the last council meeting, and you showed him this because he made a comment to a city employee and showed him to him that you showed him this.
I did not.
Well, I'm just telling
That's
you,
just
sir.
a factual
Well,
inaccuracy.
yeah.
That is not
Yeah,
true. Al.
listen, what we need to do is get on
That's
with
just a lie.
business, or what are we gonna do about councilman or the mayor on material? Let's get this on, because this
We're
is
in
going
agreement.
over and over again.
I
We're
know
not
we are.
getting anywhere.
I don't mind Councilman Miller getting it. I just want him to realize that what I said and my stand on it was based on what I had at that time. I did not know that the councilman was being treated differently on that. If I did, and neither did Bill remind me. So I was basing it on what I had and what I knew.
Well, you need to make sure you have all the facts before you start basing and accusing anybody of anything. And
Well,
like
that
I
right-
said,
but that works-
there's nothing-
that runs
there's
two
nothing
ways,
that-
Al.
There's nothing to keep me from getting him public information to keep me to make an educated decision for my constituents. Nothing.
Anything
It's
else?
drop.
So Raina, what can we do? I personally don't think we should have to fill out a request when we're trying to make a decision and need information and be able to serve properly. So what can we do to get that going so that this is not an issue? I mean,
Well, I think that, you know, if Bob or any city employee got a request for information that would be public and they had an issue, like, I'm not sure that's public, like, for instance, I know this would never happen, but let's say a council member asked for a personnel file. Well, that's something that,
I'm just saying
Would be a
something like
problem.
simple,
It's against the law.
like a list,
but,
like he was
yeah,
asking for a
right,
list.
right. The easiest way to handle that would be the employee notifies the mayor that this request has been made, and unless it's some weird, you know, they ought to get it. I mean, that's just.
But in fairness to Bob, I mean, when he reads this, when he goes to his conventions, when he talks to his colleagues, when he talks to people in the same business as him, when he sees generally municipal officials and employees have no greater rights to inspect records than do members of the public,
And that,
you know, while the council acting as a whole. So why can't the council act as a whole tonight to give him some assurance that he is not in conflict with the state law, with city policy, and with the opinions of the industry or of the, you know, the clerks association and all of that.
Look,
Let's give him some assurance that these things are not in conflict with each
The
other.
only assurance I need, I got from the Alabama League of Municipalities are welcome to call.
This is their
Once-
document.
Once I talked to the lady and told her I needed a copy of the business license, she said, there's nothing to preclude you, and she said, matter of fact, I would be able to go down and get that.
Right, but
But like I said, I did not ask for
But
his
she would-
fiscal. Go to the
yeah.
second page, I did not ask for his fiscal information.
you understand what I'm saying.
I guess, and I have no corner on the market when it comes to legal opinions, and I don't like to discuss legal opinions and my legal opinions in public, but, you know, it would be my legal opinion, I guess, that there would be no prohibition to share public information with the council without them signing a request. But that's always been my position. I want you to understand, before this dispute ever came up,
Yeah,
as you know.
I understand.
So
Of course, that was before Bob came.
it was before Bob came on board. So, you know, I guess it would be on me if Bob called me and said, hey, I got this issue, and I said, well, this is what I think legally you can do. I guess if I gave bad legal advice, that would be on me. But I think that I would give the legal advice that it's perfectly acceptable to give public information and records to a council member as it exists right now. In other words, I don't, you know,
That's what the law is.
but that's always been my position. I want to emphasize not.
But you do acknowledge that there's people that take a different
Well,
position.
what that says is that the
They
council
can't
members.
be treated differently.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. And that's.
But I guess the argument would be that, you know, any of these members of the public do not call down to the clerk's office and say, give this to me, and they send it over. They're going to say, well, can you fill out this form?
Right.
I totally agree with that.
That's right.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But me being a city councilman, I ought not to have to fill out a form. It's never been done in the past. And all of a sudden it wants to be done when I come and request the information.
Well, but again, I don't think he's reading this directive that
He's
says
not reading
generally.
it. He's not, look, we need to move on. We got city business to handle, but this isn't going anywhere. We'll continue this another time.
Well, let's at least get Al what he wants.
I'm fine, I don't have a problem with that.
I'm gonna get what I want, what I need, and what, I mean, yeah, that's just, you know,
Well,
let's move on, Mayor. We got city business to run, and this isn't going anywhere. Everybody hung up.
that basically codifies what you just suggested.
No, I mean, that's fine.
Okay, is anybody opposed to me adding an item, first item of business and new business to update public records request of public officials?
How about just put it, let's follow the law for public information, for public officials. You know?
Next, we have the revisions on the operation procedures of the senior center, excuse me. Betty, you got the floor.
I have the old operational procedures that were put in effect 2007. They were in effect before, but never in writing. So when I started, so these were the existing ones. And then about a couple of years ago, Sarcoa made a suggestion to implement some additions to these operational procedures, and I think Jason had emailed them to you, but these are the new ones where I just added to the operational procedures to complete some issues that we had in the past, that situations that happened in the center, to make it clear to our members what the rules are for participating in the senior center program.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Well, I think the council wanted to kind of do a resolution to incorporate the changes that were going to be made as to rental policies and things. This would be great if you could let them have this, and I think Jason and I were going to work on that for you, and let them go ahead and formally put into place those policies before you start implementing this.
No, I have not.
And that way, it could be blessed by the council, and
Correct.
that sounds okay with the council.
And this is not in regards to rental, this is in regards to members coming to the center, participating in the nutrition program, using the facility when it comes to the exercise room, the computer room, and things of that nature, going on trips, us picking up people and taking them home. So that is not in conjunction with the rental of the senior center or the civic center, the building itself.
How many do you have participating in the seniors?
We serve 33 meals a day. but we have about a little over 100 members, and we take 23 homebound meals out a day, and we have about 40 to 50 members on the homebound. But that changes daily because we've got people coming in, we've got people leaving, so.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? Birgit, thank you for bringing this to us, and thank you for your work on it, you and Jason. Jason,
Yes, sir.
Friends of Fort Rucker?
Yes, sir. I introduced the contract. I brought it to y'all's attention probably a month ago. We're at the Friends of Fort Rucker. We had a contract from 2012 to 2015. Dothan, Ozark, and Delville all had the same contract. They get $2 per capita per citizen to go into their fund to help support what the organization does for the post. I talked with General Edens about a week and a half or two ago, and I told him that it was something that the council kind of gave a favorable report on, that it would be something that we would look at the next budget year. He asked if we could go ahead and address that starting in June and to pay out the fourth quarter of this fiscal year. So what we have done in the past is $53,125 annually, and we paid it by quarter, which was $13,218. If we were to do it for the rest of this year, the 1 quarter plus the month of June, we would pay $17,708. But the only hiccup is it would have to come out of fund balance, because at the beginning of the budget year, we shifted a good bit of the money out of the Fort Rucker line to the economic development line. So as far as the money that was allocated to the budget for Fort Rucker, the money is not there anymore. It's something that we could reallocate for next budget year, but the $17,708 would have to come from the fund balance. If y'all were to agree moving forward with this, it would be a 3-year agreement that the mayor would sign, and it would, I guess, Danielle would handle the financial.
17,000 out of fund balance?
Yes, sir. 17,708.
This is the first request this year to pull additional monies out of fund balance, right?
Well, out of economic development.
I don't remember any other budget amendments. I know we had budgeted a fund.
We haven't made the budget amendments.
Okay.
It is on the agenda this evening. Anybody else have any questions of Jason? Jason?
Which item do you want to discuss?
Guns up.
We got a request from a gentleman named Anthony Giordano from AG Gun Shows. They do gun shows all over the Southeast. I met with Bob. They do them in Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. I think they did a gun show here several years ago. One of the things that he requested, he was looking for a date from October to January, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The way that our fee structure at the Civic Center is set up right now for trade shows, you obviously pay a $1,200 a day rent, and then the city gets 10% of the sale on top of the sales tax that will be collected from the show. What Mr. Giordano has requested from the city is that we increase the rent and do away with the 10%, because a lot of the vendors would not come if they had to pay 19% off the top of their sales. So he asked us if the council would consider raising the rent and dropping the 10% for the collection. And I met with Bob. He asked for a 200 a day rental based on what other gun shows have done in the past. Me and Bob kind of collectively agreed that we submit to him an $1,800 a day rent. That would be an increase of $600 per day. And he's also going to hire police officers to stay at the gun show while it's going on, as well as through the night. But that's just a request that I want to bring y'all. With the way that we are transitioning into the way that we are handling requests for the Civic Center and Farmers Market, this was the first request that has come. And basically what he's asking is if the council would like to drop the 10% and increase the rent to make that difference.
Remember what we were going to go to on the rent?
The trade show rate was going to stay the same.
Stay something.
Yes, sir.
Stay the same.
Is that a typical arrangement to charge a, I wasn't aware we were doing.
Other facilities, I don't know. That's been on our books.
We don't have a lot of trade shows out here. What do you think, Barry?
Well, I think it would be great because otherwise we'll lose them and then the facility stays empty. So we get $1,800 a day for 3 days. That's a good benefit.
Did y'all find a date? I'm sorry.
No, so before he confirmed a date with us, I think he was more.
So that's your recommendation?
Yes, sir.
That's right. I think he asked me about that, and I told him I thought it'd be a good idea to ask y'all. And I don't see a problem with administratively waiving it, but I just thought it was a good idea for him to tell y'all, make sure y'all didn't have a problem.
What are your wishes?
I have no problem with it, fine with me.
Some? Al?
I'll go with his recommendation.
Okay.
So I can give them a call tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am. We're in agreement. Jason, you're next one.
The Enterprise Public Library applied for a grant to replace all of their technology equipment at the library. As part of the yearly contract that we have with them for technology, the library falls under the city in our pool of hours. They applied for a grant in the amount of $15,000 that they did receive. The total cost of their project, of what they wanted to do, was $20,814. The Friends of the Library has contributed the required 25% match of $3,750. And that left a shortfall of $2,064. I was going to ask for y'all to consider a budget amendment to transfer the $2,064 shortfall from the IT outlay line item to the appropriation line item for the library. There's no money that would have to come out of the fund balance. It would just be a line-to-line transfer. But it would just going to go in after the budget amendment now. And there is room in the IT outlay to absorb that.
And this too is on the agenda. You don't have any questions? Jason?
Well, yeah, well,
Yeah, we got the weather decorations.
Real quick, I talked to y'all back when the tropical storm, or the subtropical storm was going through the area. Our local EMA office asked us to declare a local state of emergency to piggyback off of what Governor Ivey did. In the event weather were to happen here, we would have to have manpower, equipment issues, potentially rent equipment to clean up stuff. It's just a funding issue, a funding element that in the event we had to do all that, we would be eligible for reimbursements. Obviously, we didn't have to do that, so we still need to follow through and just declare the local state of emergency, because it was already sent up to the state through our EMA office, and that's on the agenda as well. There are 2 other quick items. The council pictures, I emailed those to all of y'all. Dunaway Studio was kind of wanting to know which ones y'all liked, so that we can go ahead and get those ordered and get those framed out, put on the walls around City Hall. Y'all could try to let me know by the end of the week, if possible, which ones y'all like. And the last thing is the community survey that was passed several months ago. It was sent out last week. Several people have gotten it that I'm aware of. I've received a few phone calls about it. Nothing, they called about the legitimacy of it to make sure that the city was in charge of that. There's an online portion for the people that it was sent to. They can do the paper copy or the online portion. Right now, ETC is planning to come in late July to present those results to the council. They'll obviously hand y'all all the material, all the documentation to have at your disposal. But as of right now, that's the plan. It's out. They said normally 6 to 7 weeks before they compile everything, and then we'll set up a date for a work session with all y'all so they can come present late July, worst case early August. It may be before then, based on how the stuff is received. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? The next items on the agenda are the Permacore and also the RDS contracts. These were, let me send them to everybody. Yeah, all these are sent to everybody Friday. These are on the agenda. Do we have any discussion?
Any material changes with RDS? I mean, I read through it, but obviously I didn't have it.
No, I just put the same language in about if we needed a contractor to look at their database for the, decide whether we're going with somebody else, if this agreement is terminated, whenever they agree to the same language to allow that. I think that was.
Their fees are staying the same.
Yeah,
Other than the audit
They
cap.
capped the audit fees, and that was established by.
At 25,000?
30,000, I believe. Is it 25? Yeah, I think it went from 30 down to 25.
That's what I thought.
Basically, all the questions.
Actually, and that's just to express the audit fees of, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's 30,000.
It's 30.
Is it 30,000? Okay. The audit fees for 16 was 117. 117. So we're basically we're gonna create savings of approximately $85,000 in audit fees a year for this, compared to 16.
And the hourly rate went down too.
Yes, correct.
So we'll get more hours.
So yes, the fee structure went down during the negotiations.
Did that just, in your opinion, just them going down due to your suggestion to do 1 year? Or just due to make it competition, or is that something that we foresee going up after another contract?
I think that was due to the fact that we were considering another contractor, and so they went ahead and went to a negotiated pricing to make it more acceptable.
She's in the room, so she can answer.
Just didn't want to step on in. I'm Christy Cato with RDS. I've been there for 20-something years, and we've enjoyed the partnership. I work very closely with Yolanda, and she asked me to come here today for her. Definitely, competition always pushes prices. We all know that. That's no secret. But we definitely value your business, and so we wanted to do what we needed to do to maintain the business. We feel like we've done a really good job for you guys over the years, and communicating and know your business community well. I know I've been going back and forth with Yolanda, just reviewing numbers and crunching numbers, and the city actually looks really, really good, and it's going in the right direction revenue-wise, your business-wise. The compliance level that you have experienced locally is very high. So we felt like that was something we could offer on behalf of the city. We administer the county as well, so there are some benefits to that.
Any other questions? Okay, if you'll look at your agenda for this evening's meeting, regular meeting, the old business, College Street resurfacing, call for consideration, any of the Sanders for Mid-South, the paving of West College Street. The bid for that, consider the bid and recommendation for the airport parallel taxi rehab. See that there. Coming on down to new business. Here we have to introduce ordinance 060518, relating to the authorizing the issuance of general obligation warrants that are federally taxable, series 2018A. You see that there. Then we come on, and also the other warrants, for the issuance, technically the bond issue. Did y'all have any requests? David's here and Mr. Cardinal's here. Do y'all have any questions concerning any of this?
Is anyone, we hadn't seen any numbers yet on this. Do y'all have that?
Please allow me, that's it.
Let everybody get a copy of this, and we'll walk through this quickly.
I'm talking about the
Because
presentation.
if I just read this, I
All
will
that.
know what they talked about.
So I'll walk you through this, and then Louis will take us through NPV, cost of issuance, everything else. All right, so thank those have made their way around the table. So this is the aggregate debt service comparison. This is kind of, this page should look familiar to you. This is kind of what we've been building off of since we started this conversation. You can see that we've got your current debt there. The proposed 2018 column there is what the deal looks like right now. So that is with as up-to-date as information as we have. All cost of issuance are plugged in there. That is what today's market is looking like. Like I said, if the bonds would have been sold this afternoon, this is what it would have looked like. If you remember back to the start of our conversation, our net benefit to doing this deal for you was right at the $3 million mark. We're today at $2.862 million. That $140,000 change is really reflective of just one issue, and that's the market. The market is off by about 10 basis points, which is 0.1%. So if you remember, when we first started this, our interest rate was going to be about 3.75 for the refinancing. Today, it's at 3.85. We talked a little bit about it, that the one factor you can't control, nobody in the room could control, is what the market's going to do. It's going to do what it's going to do. So that's where we're at. I'll tell you this, we're the fortune of good timing in terms of when you got your rating back. Literally just about 2.5 weeks ago, the market was off by another 15 basis points. So we were a full 0.25% from where we started this conversation in March. I went back and looked at our original numbers. Our first conversation on this, when we started honing in on this idea, was March the 20th. So from that point to today, that's what the difference in the market is. So to only be off by $140,000, in our world, we're considering ourselves pretty lucky from what we've seen in the market. So like I said, everything is plugged into here. I've sent everything over to Louis, cost of issuance, our fee, everything that it takes to do this deal is all factored in here, and this is a net number too. Okay? So with that, I'll turn it over to Louis. I know you guys may have questions about cost of issuance numbers or anything else that I know he's been reviewing and communicating with Bob and Danielle and their team.
Mayor, Council, I'm Louis Cardinal from Montgomery, Florence Parish. Appreciate the opportunity to represent the city. I represent the city in this transaction. As your financial advisor, we're brought on board to do not only review the refunding, but also going forward to work with Bob on some other matters involving debt management as well as investment policies that will come back to the council after this transaction. But simply, our main focus as your financial advisor is one, to look at the fee structure of the transaction. And David and Maynard Cooper have done an excellent job in this transaction. We've got a lot of fine firms in the state, and I asked them to revisit their fee structure in the transaction. David's agreed to reduce his fee. We've had a reduction in fee off initially what you proposed. And in that regard, we're about over $200,000 in cost of issuance less than the last major bond issue that the city did back in 2009, which was a smaller issue and not near as complicated as the 3 issues here. So I feel that the city is on solid ground with the cost of issuance of this transaction. That's important. Not only have we shaved those costs versus the previous issue, those costs, individual costs for all the professionals in the transaction, is in line with comparable issues that we're seeing across the landscape. Our firm is an underwriting firm, but we also do quite a bit of financial advisory work. We represent Troy University, University of Alabama System, Mobile Water and Sewer Board. So we're comfortable in the fairness of the fee structure and the reduction of the fee structure based on what y'all have previously done.
As y'all started out with the structure, you're looking at a restructuring where you're trying to maximize cash flow and level out your debt. That is pretty common in the industry, is to look at the optimization of your debt to see what pieces you can refund to give you level debt, in this case, as well as to reduce the maturity time on some of your debt and to create as much ongoing cash flow as you can over the remaining life of the new refunding issue. The gross savings, as David has handed out to you, of 2.8, that is based on what market conditions are today. We do not know what they will be tomorrow. We hope that we get a rally in the government bond market and we can improve on these taxable bonds. I think you're in good position to sell taxable bonds. As you can relate to the code, the new tax code eliminated the ability for municipalities like yourself and others to governmental entities to sell advance refunding bonds on a tax-exempt basis. So the only option we have right now to move before the call date on these existing debt is to do a taxable piece. And many municipalities are doing that, selling taxable bonds in the same fashion that you're doing. Also, we asked David to look at, and he has done, in the selling of the new taxable bonds to have a shorter call, which means that down the road, as we get closer to the call date on these new taxable bonds, we'll have the ability, depending on market conditions, to refund those on a tax-exempt basis. So we're very comfortable in the overall structure. Now on net present value savings.
Do we have anything with all this on it?
Yes, sir, we have the last one. We have the last one that they just presented today. But big picture, 1,000 feet, gross savings of 2.8, that does include the contribution that the city is making from the prior 2013 issue. And so that cash flow that you're looking at now.
Can you I mean, I understand that because you and I have talked about it. Can you explain that, make sure everybody understands?
Right, okay. Not to belabor the point, but that cash flow that you're looking at is gross cash flow. So the term net present value means $1 saved today is worth more than $1 saved down the road, if that makes sense to you. So what we do is we present value that 2.8 and give you a value up front today. So right now, the value of that 2.8 cash flow in terms of net present value dollars at a discounted rate of around 3.9 is right at about $1.4 million roughly. Well, if you subtract the $1.1 million of the unused bond proceeds in the 2013 issue, which is fair and accurate to do, that drops the net present value to around $300,000, depending on when the market conditions tomorrow, whenever David sells the bond. So we have positive net present value in the transaction, and we have cash flow savings of right at 2.8 given market conditions, which is consistent with what other municipalities are doing. And we feel that the city's on solid ground moving forward, not only with the transaction I mentioned structurally, but also obviously the gains we've made in trying to lower the cost of issues.
And that 1.1 million we're contributing are restricted funds.
Right.
It's not like we can go use those and just put them in our general fund.
Yeah, but from a net present value savings, the term savings, that is your money. So you have to subtract that from the 1.4 net present value savings, which is tracking around 3.5%, which is good. Right. But you have to take that 1 point out to be fair and transparent as far as the savings. But many municipalities across the country are doing anything they can to improve cash flow in their debt structure in light of the fact that they have to issue taxable debt, or they got to wait into the call date. So the only option would be to wait 2 or 3 years down the road and see where the market is and do tax-exempt refunding bonds at that time. And in the business that I've been in for 35 years is an old adage, there are only 2 people who know where interest rates are going, those that don't know, and those that don't know they don't know. So I think that for the city to basically try to guess and see where we're going to be down the road in 3 years on a tax-exempt basis closer to the call date probably is not prudent given the cash that you have here now. Now, having said all that, it's customary for councils to give their investment banker, in this case David's firm, a floor where he goes out in the market and says, we expect to have savings of no worse than X. And if you can't achieve that, then we pause and wait till the market down the road, a week, a day, whatever, until we can hit that target. And that's consistent with what municipalities do and universities and water and sewer boards do. So I think that if we could have, my recommendation, if we could have a positive net present value savings, taking into account the 1.1 million of contribution from the city, that would put us at a threshold of 2.4, 2.5, somewhere in that range. I think that's reasonable for the city to execute that minimum amount of savings in a transaction. Hopefully David can execute his firm, a really fine firm, can sell the bonds in a strong government market tomorrow, the next couple of days, and he can improve on what he presented today. But that's all we can really do in this particular transaction to maximize our economic benefit.
Did you have that data sheet for us to look at? It's got all the expenses. And
Yes, sir, I have.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, I can, Al, I can definitely give you this. This is where we started, the fee structure here, but we have whittled this down. So I don't have the final version, but
We're still waiting on a couple fee quotes this afternoon.
And I keep in mind, this is a continuing work in progress. So what we'll do is we'll put a budget in place. The budget I'm working with, line item number is $148,000 cost of issuance, in addition to David's fee of $6.85 a bond. So that puts us somewhere around $400,000. But you put that in your budget and you put those proceeds when you close, but we still try to negotiate fees lower and then double check to make sure they come in invoice wise at that level. And so any of that extra money stays for the benefit of the city. So it's a constant effort even after closing.
Is it costing us any extra money to have that $1 million included in? Because I'm just asking a question, could we put that in escrow?
Well, very good question.
And is it costing us any more to
It is giving you benefit because in other tax law, you have to either take that 1.1 million, identify a capital improvement project and spend it on capital. You cannot spend it on operating revenue expenses. Or you can do what you're doing now and contribute it to the escrow to lower the size of the issue. You're doing the proper thing to do.
Yeah, in the packet that Louis will get around to everybody, you'll see on that particular issue where that 1.19 million is sitting there, you're actually refunding almost $6 million of bonds, and it's only costing you 4.8 to do so. So you're replacing a $6 million bond with a 4.85 because you're using your almost 1.2 million that you have on hand to be able to reduce paying 5% on that loan. So we talked a little bit about that early on. You didn't have a project identified for it. So cut out paying 5% on that money, reduce it down to 3.85% and get that off of your books.
So, and not to belabor the point, but one aspect of this as well, when we issue the bonds, we have to set up an escrow to pay off the old bondholders at their call date, different call dates. So we look at slug investments. That's a government program that's run to make efficiencies of escrows, and it doesn't cost us anything. But right now in the market, there can be advantages of hiring a third party, which David Firms does, and we do, and we're underwriters, and everybody does it, which is appropriate, to see if we can go and get open market securities, not the government slug program, and see if we can get bids on the government's for an open market escrow, and we will do that. And that we will have to make sure that there's a gain to the city net of this third party's fee before we take that option versus bid on the escrow with the slug program that's cost free for the government. So that's another aspect that we'll try to squeeze some more savings out of this.
And to lobby that point, if we were doing it today, and obviously Thursday we'll see where the market is, if we were doing that today, you would have had another $25,000 of savings. So your 2.862 would have been almost right at 2.1.
Are we going to get a final report from you, a written report, or what? How does that look?
Well, my written report, final report, is going to be the final numbers, and those final numbers will say, just like these say, that the net present value is above zero, and that the gross is hopefully in our parameter of 2.1.
And we're going to put parameters in place that guarantee that or no deal.
So let's speak to the ordinances. The ordinance here have parameters, broad parameters that instruct David to go forth and market the bonds in broad parameters, and those parameters were set by him and Mayor Cooper. It gives him the flexibility to execute the transaction. Now, I don't think we have a savings.
We didn't set a savings number, so what I'd like to do, what I do for most of my clients is the night before / the morning of. So once again, pending approval tonight and moving forward toward a marketing day of Thursday, our team will analyze everything at the close of business Wednesday and again on Thursday morning. As we begin to market the bonds on Thursday, I will report to your team, the mayor, Bob, Danielle, Louis. We would send out the number as to where the savings are. Pending that approval, we would close the transaction. We would actually sign the purchase agreement and lock in the bonds at that certain interest rate. If it fell below the level that you want it at, all you have to do is tell me to stop, and we stop, okay? I cannot proceed without your approval and the signing of a purchase agreement. So it's not just David's decision to say, hey, we're jumping in and going to get this done. We want to bring it back at a level that you want it at. But at the same time, we have to understand too that if you wait, if you try to turn 2.8 into 3 or 3.5 or 4, whatever you think it may go to, that as big of a chance as it has to go that way, it has just the exact same chance to go the other way on you. So that's kind of, just in terms of your internal discussion, where you want to be. And like I said, the ups and downs of the market over the last 2.5 months to be within 125 to 150,000 of where we started, most of the time we don't get that lucky. There's a lot more movement, whether it be positive or negative. So,
yeah. And these resolutions give Dave the opportunity to move into the market and try to execute at levels that we're comfortable with. So what is the pleasure of the mayor and the council? Do we want to set here an understanding of a threshold of $1 above the net present value, which would translate into, maybe
I'd say 2.4, and then I can report that as on day of.
And keep in mind, that means net of the transaction cost of a little over 400, and it's net of the, of the 1.1 that we contribute back.
That would be cash flow savings, basically, when we're saying gross savings.
You're doing a restructuring, which is common in the industry.
Yes. So, as our financial advisor and our fiduciary, you're saying that this structure in place here levelizes our debt, it shortens our term, it improves our cash flow, and it saves us money.
Yes, sir.
Does all of those things.
Yes. Okay. As of today.
Right. But if we put that target at a net present value of $1, then all those things will remain true.
That, we will come in at a level instead of 4.8, it would be maybe 2.4.
2.4 instead of 2.8.
And it just makes you more comfortable with that. Or, then I'm gonna belabor the point, or we can put it on a shelf and wait a month, down the road. I do not advise that. I think we've experienced too much interest rate risk already. And I think if you wait another month or so to try to get back, let's say it comes in at 2.4, or that's where if it comes less than that, then obviously we need to put it on the shelf.
Sure, right. Absolutely.
But I don't think we try to chase in this market another $200,000 on a $39 million bond issue. I think you're on solid ground.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, there are not many communities that have this opportunity because they cannot do a taxable restructuring like this and make any kind of real savings to speak of.
Yes, you need to. Council can do that. No, it needs to be, it would need to be out there. But, you could talk about it then.
So should we consider, Rainer, this is for you, amending the ordinance in some way to set that net present value of 1?
I think you need to make it clear on the record.
Or can that be an additional directive to the mayor?
Yeah, I think it needs to be made clear on the record that what your floor is. In other words, Louis, David, if they consider these ordinances, understood that they're going to put on the record that they're not applicable if they don't meet the floor.
Absolutely.
So should we do that subsequent to passing, or maybe before passing the ordinances?
Yeah, I would do it on every ordinance, on all three.
Of course, we can't, we can't pass these ordinances, we might be advertised for 2 weeks.
If we suspend the rules, we can pass them. Are you
I
opposed?
don't feel comfortable suspending the rules when we just got this information tonight. making some, a decision of this magnitude.
I've had this information for a while. I've spent an hour on the phone with Louis this morning after getting all these ordinances last week. Okay. I mean, I think Rayner and Louis and David can vouch that I mean, I sent Louis 23 questions last night that we discussed this morning. I think all of us have had that same opportunity, but I worry that if we wait 2 weeks,
We don't know what the market's
we don't know what the market's going to do. I mean, I think we give the mayor the authority to make sure that we meet all of our objectives. We give him goals and objectives, and as long as we're meeting those, then because we don't know what's going to happen at the Korean summit in Singapore.
That's correct. Totally agree with you.
And if that goes one way or the other, our net present value savings will be completely gone. And certainly
It can go either way, though.
Oh, absolutely. But if we pass it tonight and it goes the other way, we've got that option to wait, right?
Exactly. You're
We
not
can
agreeing, you're not agreeing to do anything. You're just
You
authorizing.
can shelve it as long as you want.
Yeah, you're getting ready to go in the market and authorizing through these parameter resolution and execution if the transaction is implemented by David's firm in the fashion that we described.
And we've been
Tonight, you don't sign anything.
And you first showed us the structure in March.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
I mean, this is not a new structure.
But Al, I have the latest and greatest loop with you, the ones that has the fee structure on the back. You requested all the professional line items. So like I said, we're still whittling that down.
If we suspend the rules, if we voted on it to do what next?
To authorize them to go out and try to price and y'all say this wrong, but price the bonds, and then if y'all set a floor and it came at the floor or above, then they could lock in that price.
That's exactly right. And so, remember, this is what it looks like right now. And so, you would think that upon approval tonight and entering the market on Thursday, as we would kind of line up the schedule, you knock on wood, if President Trump will stay off Twitter and other things, the market doesn't do anything crazy on us in 48 hours, we're going to come in somewhere right at this number. So I don't think we have to panic too much that, once again, we'll know going into tomorrow. If we have a really bad day tomorrow, I'll send out a notice that says, guys, something really bad happened in the market and we don't need to be considering this on Thursday. Because obviously, like I said, our job is to maximize this number for you. But once again, for every day that you push it off, there's that 50-50 shot. I mean, nobody has a way of knowing. So I think knowing you're at 2.8 now, if you're satisfied with that number, that's what those resolutions will do, is allow us to take that next step. Once again, we can't approve anything until the purchase agreement is signed by the mayor. So we would pass everything to Louis. Louis would communicate with Bob, Danielle, and the mayor for their review of the numbers and your authorization to get a signature on that. At that point, that's where our interest rate is locked in. We close the deal about 2 weeks later. It takes 2 weeks to kind of put all the final paperwork together and get final signatures. But your interest rate is literally locked in the minute that we have the mayor's signature on the purchase agreement. So your savings are guaranteed at that point in time.
Louis, what floor would you recommend?
I think you have to have a net present value savings in your transaction account. So I think that's just a sensible thing to do. And so, anything above zero net present value savings, which would equate to 2.4 million in that range of gross savings. That'd be 400,000 less than what we're looking at today. That could be a floor. We could have a higher floor. But if you're asking me, put me on the spot, I would say probably 2.5 gross savings is a floor that I would, and what that means is that if we somehow get into where we can't achieve that because the market's backing up in these these next couple of days. All that means is that we shelf it to the next week and see if we can hit that target. It's not unlike when you get ready to redo your mortgage on your house. You get everything teed up, you're ready to go, but you don't call in to lock in the rate, until, you're ready to go. So that's kind of where we are here. So it wouldn't forego us the opportunity next week to get a strong rally in the government market and get above that threshold. But I do think that from a practical standpoint, 2.5 million is probably, we ought to stop if David can't execute that. Is that fair to say?
Very fair. Yes, sir.
Some,
I'm good with it.
yeah.
I don't know how comfortable I feel. I mean, I would like to at least be able to look at it and analyze it.
I would like the opportunity to convince you otherwise. I mean, he presented us this, the reason, you have the rules is so you're not springing anything on anybody. We were presented this structure in March. The structure has not materially changed of the deal. The savings have not materially changed other than they've degraded a little bit because it's taken so long. We approved the ratings. We ordered ratings. How long? A month ago.
The ratings order was at the March 20th.
March. So in March, we went out to. I mean, it's not like we're springing this on anybody. This is old. The only reason we have to suspend the rules is because the ordinances were just prepared because. That's just traditionally how this is done, right? I mean, I'm sure y'all suspended the rules on. I mean, isn't it true?
No, I think that the thing that I guess the concern is that the bond market's so sensitive, and I just hate for it might be tomorrow, it might be Friday when for some reason rates jump down to and I guess if they can't pounce on it, then there's that risk of losing those savings. So
But it can go the other way as well.
yeah, but I guess
That's where the floor comes in.
Being a layman at this, the way I understand it, we can pass the ordinance which gives you permission to move if we will make some money off of it.
If we do better than our floor.
If we do better than the floor. If we're not doing better, y'all don't move.
We cannot.
We cannot move.
My understanding of that is that.
But in a scenario where rates go down and we don't act tonight, we can't take advantage of it. If this goes to 3.2.
I know, if the deal's not favoring us, then technically y'all not gonna.
Yes, sir. You would want to wait until you saw what the market was going to do at some point in time in the future.
And if that happens, you call Mayor Cooper.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Until we sign a bond purchase agreement, which binds us, a legal document with David at definitive interest rates that generate our floor, we're not obligated for anything.
So they could pass the ordinances and you could lock in a price and the council could then say, hey, we decided we're not going to do this. Could that happen?
Well, this parameter resolution, let me be specific, gives the mayor the ability to execute. If David's firm, based on consultation with everyone, hits that floor better.
That's what I mean. Let's say that you hit the floor better and the mayor says, I decided we're not going to do this.
I don't think we need to be there.
Okay.
Right, Frank.
But I mean, the
That's
point
not
was,
the way it usually works.
I know, but you said that
But y'all can't do anything with it. I mean, without his signature on that purchase.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And he has to be available, and and he can't go to Europe, and we can't get him, and all that.
I guess what I was trying to say is you said the city wasn't obligated until he signed that purchase agreement. So I guess I was saying, okay, can you tell the mayor and the council what would happen if you go through all that, lock it in, and then council calls up the mayor and says, hey, we decided we're not going to do this.
And that's not the way the parameter is.
Okay.
I mean, like I said,
That's a good question.
But legally speaking, we have to give those bonds back to the bondholders at that point. You're not obligated until you sign the purchase agreement. That is just trust me, that's not a spot you want to be in. That takes Enterprise's name and sends it around to the market and tells every investor that you're not serious about doing business with them. So that's just, I would definitely recommend set your floor we identify on the day of that we're above your floor, and if it's $1 above or $500,000 above, that you go. I mean, that's, you want to be definitive in your stance there, because you just don't want to get caught in that gray area, because that's not going to hurt me or Louis or any of you individually, but that hurts the city's name anytime you ever go try to do anything. That's just not a spot you want to put yourselves in.
And we have an independent verification.
We do. We have an independent CPA that verifies that the escrows are sufficient, and that they've been fully funded. All of that is included. So, so like I said, you got a lot of eyes on this thing as to what it means for you.
What's the proposed floor, I guess?
If I were making the motion, I would say $1 net present value. Isn't that your recommendation? Basically, that's saying that, you know, we've levelized our debt, we've saved on cash flow over the life of the debt, we've shortened the maturity, and we've saved some money in aggregate.
So you literally would say in savings of at least $1 net present value?
Is that what we should say?
Or we can reverse it the other way and have gross savings of 2.5, which would, either way.
That sounds better.
Yeah, let's just say a floor of 2.5 gross.
Okay.
We know that the net present value would be.
That it would still be positive at 2.5.
But we're not going to do a transaction that we don't have positive net present value savings. We're not doing that. So.
Any other questions? Looking at the
Gross
rest.
savings is what we call that, gross savings.
Gross versus.
Anybody have any other questions from the agenda, about the agenda? That being the case, I'm going to adjourn this work session until our regular meeting in just a little while.